sun froze and the moon fell, if I went blind and I couldn't hear, you would be my motivation, you would be my reason to live.
This is the beginning of our adventure.
Nobody move! It's a robbery! I'm not here for no money. You know what I'm here for. Give me that gun. Get down!
It was a vicious crime that has rocked the Medford community. 4 victims gunned down in cold blood during an apparent robbery at the Haven Pharmacy.
$3,200 in cash and 4,000 to 5,000 oxys.
2 robberies in less than a week.
News reports of pharmacy robberies are now commonplace.
There were a number of pharmacies that actually stopped carrying Oxycontin for the fear of being robbed. And many of those pharmacies would place signs in their front windows indicating that they didn't carry Oxycontin.
Pharmacies are now #1 targets for drug addicts and dealers. Which drug addicts and criminals are most after?
This is oxycodone, the most highly abused drug probably in the United States of America right now.
With huge stocks of expensive pills, pharmacies are like banks.
In the United States, more people are now abusing prescription medication than heroin, cocaine, and ecstasy combined. The drug of choice for a growing number of users is oxycodone, a synthetic opioid best known by the brand name Oxycontin. It's basically heroin, made in a lab.
Oxy, likes, perks, dope, it all comes from the same plant. It's an opiate. It's gonna get you high regardless. And I'll give you a half a finger of heroin for the same price you pay for 5 of them pills.
The drug she craves is the codeine in extra-strength painkillers. Codeine is an opiate, the same family of drugs as Class A street drug, heroin. As well as killing pain, codeine gives a feeling of calm, of well-being, that can be more attractive than the pain-killing itself.
You know, promethazine, codeine is not a drug that actually, that is street made. It's a pharmaceutical drug. It's actually something you have to have a prescription to get. Now, just like anything else, once it's abused, it can have its effects. I was introduced to the whole scissor thing, really, by one of my homeboys. I tasted his cup, and then, just being out on the road, it just kind of became a drink of choice for me. Codeine cowboy, just a term we use on the south side. You get the drinking. What up, cowboy, you know what I mean? That's all it is, codeine. It really derived from Houston anyway, Texas, you dig?
It's a pharmaceutical. You get promethazine with codeine cough syrup, and you mix it in your favorite flavored soda. It's not very hard, and hey man, put some Jolly Ranchers in the cup. It's a done deal. I'd have probably had enough for all you motherfuckers. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, get you some drink.
The Houston rap duo Underground Kings was at the peak of its career on the charts and on the way to a Grammy nomination when tragedy struck in December.
That's when Chad Butler, known as Pimp C, died in a Los Angeles hotel room. The LA County Coroner's Office ruled the rapper's death attributed to a prescription-strength cough syrup.
The amounts of codeine in those tablets is not generally thought to be enough to have a real effect on the pain. So you are probably no better off taking those tablets than you are taking standard aspirin, ibuprofen.
They don't contain enough codeine to give you any additional pain relief, but there is enough to get you hooked.
You can live without drinking alcohol, and those changes in control don't bother you after, let's say, a year or so. But with opioids, it's different. What happens is, if you take away the external opioid, you stop using heroin, you stop using Oxycontin, or whatever it is, you have an underperforming internal opioid system. You can't experience ordinary pleasure. You don't feel good in your own skin. Every day's a lousy day. It's always gray, and you kind of feel vaguely depressed and irritable. That's what drives people back to using.
OxyContin is the same as heroin, except it's made by a pharmaceutical company, so you know what you're getting.
And the thing that distinguishes heroin and opiates from other drugs is that they have high abuse potential, high addictive potential, and high overdose potential.
We have a problem now with the cough syrup epidemic. They have very strong addictive qualities, pills and syrups and whatnot. So to anyone out there, you know, that thinking about sipping syrup or currently abusing syrup, you may want to take a very good look at yourself.
It is incredibly easy to get addicted to painkillers. And there's an epidemic, that's not too strong a word, of usually women out there who are entirely dependent on codeine-based painkillers.
But just like any drug, you build up tolerance. And it's this that lies behind the addiction.
The more you take, the less effect it tends to have. So you start out taking a small dose, you need a bigger dose, and you finally end up in this sort of vicious circle where you have to keep increasing the dose over and over and over to get the same effect in terms of pain relief.
So let's talk a little bit about the neuroscience of addiction. Some people like opioids because we've got internal opioid receptors. Why are they there? Because the brain produces opioids, endorphins, and other similar substances. It's part of our pleasure system. So what happens then is if you bathe the brain in what would be massive quantities compared to internally produced substances, the brain tries to normalize itself. It wants to stay the same. So it changes, it adapts. After a period of time, these changes become permanent.
Oxy was developed to treat people in severe chronic pain like terminally ill cancer patients. But it's now become a part of a booming illicit trade in prescription pills.
What happened in the 1990s, and this is a big part of the current heroin epidemic, is it was suddenly okay to give people pain medications for their chronic back pain. The pain medications, the narcotic painkillers that came out in the 90s and in the last decade have been the long-acting narcotic painkillers. So one of the first ones was OxyContin. That's a trade name for an extended release or controlled release oxycodone. So oxycodone is the medicine, and they branded it as OxyContin. There are other long-acting opioids out there. MS-Contin is morphine that has been designed to burn longer. Vicodin, that's a short-acting painkiller. It's actually the most prescribed medication in the United States. Not just the most prescribed pain medication, it is the most prescribed medication in the United States of any medication.
Based upon an operation that was predicated upon communication, the cooperation of the 6 police agencies that focused on our 3 cities in Orange County, Newburgh, Middletown, and Port Jervis. The operation itself focused on those selling heroin, cocaine, oxycodone.
Years ago, it was very unusual for us to make a 1,000-pill seizure. Now it's commonplace. These are Perc 30s, oxycodone 30-milligram tablets. These are OxyContin 80-milligram tablets. These pills here all came from Florida, South Florida. 95% of all the pills we get come from Florida.
According to its own state officials, doctors in Florida are responsible for prescribing 85% of all the Oxy in the U.S.
Go visit a pain clinic where you really don't have to stick a gun at the doctor. He'll give you the drugs willingly, with a wink and a nod.
Doctors in Florida prescribe oxycodone at 5 times the national average. The effect of this flood of pills is alarming.
They're not doctors, they are drug dealers with degrees.
As the popularity of prescription drugs has surged, the number of deaths caused by pills has also risen dramatically. In Florida, pills are involved in 75% of all the drug-related deaths.
The biggest reason is because we don't have a prescription drug monitoring plan. We don't have a database that tracks these drugs.
People that want to make money down in Florida realized that they can make money because there was no narcotic tracking system. It was basically, come here, give us cash, we give you a prescription. Well, Pablo Escobar couldn't have had it any better.
Florida is the largest state in the country without a prescription drug monitoring plan. Without a database to track who's getting what pills and how much, addicts can go to multiple doctors and get multiple prescriptions in a practice known as doctor shopping.
They are clinics that have been established by non-physician owners, and they bring a physician, say out of retirement, who has a DEA number, to work there to write as many prescriptions as possible for cash.
Basically operating as a legalized drug dealer. There was no x-rays, no MRIs, no physical therapy, just writing prescriptions for money.